A Song for Silas by Laurie Wick, Chapter 41. Amy woke up feeling rested for the first time since Silas came back from town with the news of her Aunt Bev. The night they arrived home, milking and chores awaited them, but over supper each shared what they had seen and heard. Amy wept openly upon hearing of her aunt's salvation. Grant had asked Silas to lead them in prayer for Evan, whose heart had never made that step. Grant had gone into town again the following day and returned with a lengthy report. He had seen Bev and Evan, who were both holding up well, and had had a long talk about the robberies with the sheriff. The sheriff cleared up many questions, and once back at the farm, Grant relayed the information to Silas and his daughter. The discovery of who was actually behind the crimes was brought to light within hours of the Cooper brothers being arrested for the last robbery. The men did not hold up well under questioning and soon told of the notes left for them in an old tree outside of town. Since all the notes had been saved, the sheriff could see he'd been in error in the way he'd reassured the townspeople. Every slip of paper pointed to someone at Evan's bank being involved. In the short time the sheriff had brought in a young bank teller, and it was this person who confessed to delivering off-the-record reports to the banker's home 3 times a week. With this information, along with the brothers' description of the unidentified black-coated rider who always made the money exchange, the sheriff had soon been on his way to arrest Evan Randall. It was Bev who gave herself away, not that she would have allowed Evan to take the blame in any case. When the sheriff arrived, Evan had been out, and Bev had just immediately assumed she'd been discovered. The sheriff had relayed his conversation with Bev to Grant. "I can't say as I'm glad to see you, Mitchell." "Then you know why I'm here?" the man asked, truly saddened at his findings. "Yes, I know why you're here. You know, I really believed I would get away with it. I kept things so simple, so few people involved. I even made the money exchanges myself." Bev, upon seeing the lawman's stunned face, soon realized her mistake. The sheriff had no choice but to report all he knew, and late as it was, it didn't take long for all of Neilsville to hear. Silas and Grant, with their work in the fields, had dealt with the news better than Amy, who suddenly had time on her hands, as she alternately prayed and worried over all that had ensued. And always at the back of her mind was the knowledge that the crops were nearly in, and Silas would be leaving.